Let me shift here, and I just want to talk a little bit about silence. Silence, my sisters and brothers, has many dimensions. There is a sacred silence, which is that silence out of which creative contemplation grows. It's a meditation on the word and the will of God. It's the silence out of which we meditate and get closer to God. It's the silence in which fervent prayer is born. There is a sacred silence. But then there's a seething silence that comes when you are quiet externally, but you've got a storm going on the inside. The late Dr. Howard Thurman called that a noisy quietness. But then finally, and here's the silence I want to get to, there is a sinful silence. And Adam's silence falls into this category because a sinful silence is a silence that comes over you when you ought to say something, but you don't say nothing at all. It is that silence that creeps in when you ought to speak up for God, but you sit there acting like you don't know what God said. My sisters and brothers, I fear that Adam was not only silent on that fateful day in the garden when a serpent showed up, but Adam has remained silent through the centuries. When Africans were captured and taken from their homeland, packed in the hulls of ships, sold on auction blocks, beat and killed and misused and kept in shadow slavery, Adam was silent. When Jews were persecuted, deported, and murdered by Nazis, Adam was silent. When Native Americans were slaughtered in the acts of genocide so their land could be taken from them, Adam was silent. When our ancestors were lynched and called boy and girl, even though they were full grown, when they were denied employment and equal access to resources, Adam was silent. And today, far too often, when our boys are shooting and killing each other on the streets, and our girls suffer from low self-esteem and give birth to children whose daddies won't stay around to take care of them, Adam is still silent. Sisters and brothers, there is a sinful silence among us when injustice is raging and we remain quiet. When people are aching, when people are hurting, when babies are crying and dying of hunger and not having enough love from insufficient care, and we remain silent, that is a sinful silence. When the church looks and sees what's going on in its communities, and not just in its communities, but what's going on right there in the household of faith, and we sit there and act like we don't know what's going on, that is a sinful silence. And let me suggest that there's a time when silence is sinful. And here in the text, we see a snake talking to Adam's wife. Adam remains silent. Adam should have said something. My sisters and brothers, the nation is waiting for somebody to say something. Go on, touch your neighbor and tell him you ought to say something. You see them boys on the corner, you ought to say something. You see what's happening with those sisters. I'm not talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and them. I'm talking about the saints' children. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here today. You ought to say something. The classroom is waiting for somebody to say something. Youth violence is waiting for somebody to say something. Every community, every city, every town, every home, every boy, every girl, every family is waiting for the church to break the silence. And if we don't break the silence, let me tell you what's going to happen. If we don't break the silence, we end up embracing the appeals of the serpent. What are the appeals of the serpent? Jesus. Our young people are dying. Cracked out. Suicidal. Homicidal. They'll kill you at the drop of a dime. Our jails are full. Yet the crime still runs rampant. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. Thank you, Jesus. Hey, I don't have no $100,000 year loss. The $200,000 I got 90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African-American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is now 5 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. And I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour. You can hear Kenneth on The Promise every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. Good way to start out your Monday morning. Great way to start out your week. Listen, if you have not already registered, we're going to put it in the chat section for those of you who are on social media for the Greater Springfield NAACP Annual Freedom Fund Symposium. You need to do that right now. It is this Thursday, and you must register. You must register for the symposium. My guest is Dr. Jamal Bryant from New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Georgia. And you don't want to miss the award presentations. You don't want to miss the songs. You don't want to miss the celebration. You don't want to miss Dr. Bryant. You don't want to miss any of that. So what you need to do right now while we're talking is go to focusspringfield.com, focusspringfield.com/NAACPGS for Greater Springfield. Focusspringfield.com/NAACPGS, and you need to register right now. Now listen, your requested donation includes your annual NAACP membership. All right, so get in there, register, join us this Thursday for our annual our virtual Freedom Fund Symposium. Okay, today is September 13th. It is my son Talbert's birthday. So happy birthday to my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased, my namesake, my prodigy, all that stuff. Happy birthday, son. He is, how old is he now? He's 27. He's 27 years old. Living life to the fullest, raising his two children. Great young man. So y'all help me wish my son Talbert a happy birthday. All right. Rep your city, rep your town. Those of you who are streaming with us, let me know where you're chiming in from. Definitely want to know that. Today, I'm going to be dealing with the topic that black people have no allies. Everybody wants to claim allyship. Everybody and their mama is claiming to be our allies. Yet and still, it's amazing how these folk go in and out of allyship. You know, when it's convenient for them to protest, they will. When it's inconvenient, they won't. And see, allyship is not about, chiming in and out of the movement at your leisure when you want to. I cannot opt in and out of the black struggle. Can't opt in and out. It's permanent. It's something I have to do all of the time. And so those of you who just want to be able to opt in and out, when it's popular, and all that stuff, you're not an ally. Stop it. And so, I gotta tell our white friends, stop declaring yourself as allies. You don't get to declare yourself as allies. We will tell you if you are or if you're not. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. Okay? But you don't get to say that. You don't get to tell us what you are. So we're going to talk about that. Tell your friend, tell somebody. Bishop is on the air, about to get the provocative conversation popping. Let me see. Let me get my Facebook audio on here. See, I got all these different things popping at the same time. I'm trying to, be a little more technologically advanced and stuff. And so I've got the spaces. I got spaces happening here on Twitter. I've got an audio room, if I can get it going, on Facebook. That I'll be starting any moment now. So hey, if you want to jump in the Facebook space, we try to allow the folks in the Facebook space to have a conversation with us, to be able to talk to us. So we'll bring some of them on. And of course, those of you who are listening can call in at 413-337-1867, 413-337-1867. All right, we're going to be right back. Play a little bit of T Swan since it's his birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This one is for all the brothers that passed the war, particularly one because it affected me drastically. I remember my sister gave me the call and I was in awe. Matter of fact, it felt the fall from reality. She seen somebody post RIP with his name and I said that was the same friend I had since the 7th grade. She said I'ma call his sister and double check and call me back. He hanged himself in his room and had been there for days. Initially it didn't hit me, then it clicked and I remembered that I hadn't seen or heard from the homie all week. Wish she had told me what had him feeling lonely and weak. I guess everybody got demons we don't even speak of, cause I was with him exactly a week before the call. Just under 20, he couldn't even purchase alcohol. My best friend for like 6 or 7 years. I'm not ashamed to say I shedded plenty tears, but it was hard. He was somebody I had plenty memories with. The first person I ever burned any trees with. The worst feeling is knowing that you would leave us in all this grievance without a reason. One of the first people to ever believe in me. When it came down to it, you knew you could call me if you needed me. Cause that information I wouldn't have ever imagined. It's sad thinking about it. I ain't happy that it happened, but it made me. There was plenty times when I thought that it would drive me crazy. But looking back on it, now I see all the drive that it gave me. I learned more about why I am who I am on the daily. I know it may sound crazy, but I'm glad that it made me. Yeah, was born a son of a pastor. He was who I was named after. Matter of fact, I even got some of his characteristics. Both of us got messages for the people. I just do mine with rhythm on beat. He do his on the pulpit with scriptures. Well connected, respected in the community. Ever since I was little, I felt like there was some pressure on me. It started off with little stuff like when my folk brought us to church and then they forced us to get up and say a testimony. Getting older, had to watch how I acted in public, cause people wouldn't hesitate to put that in discussion. Chatting like, is it that pastor's kid? I'm like, yeah, that's me. But don't expect me to be exactly like my daddy. Don't discredit my family for how I am. I'm not a little kid no more, I'm now a man. And I ain't pointing fingers, I'm not trying to do no blaming at all. When it comes to how I came up, I wouldn't change it at all, because it made me. There was plenty times when I thought that it would drive me crazy. But looking back on it, now I see all the drive that it gave me. I learned more about why I am who I am on the daily. I know it may sound crazy, but I'm glad that it made me. Yeah, glad that it made me. Yeah, glad that it made me. Looking back on it, now I see all the drive that it gave me. So glad that it made me. Yeah, baby. Yeah, it made me. I know it may sound crazy, but I'm glad that it made me.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from and hit, but it just made me stronger and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love. I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me, he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
All right, let's get it popping. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcomes. We are here. We're in the house. All right. 413-337. 1867 413-337-1867. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're coming in from. I see you, Delaware. Good morning, Whitney, my daughter from Chicago. Yes, rep your city, rep your town. I see Florida up in here. Yeah, y'all be careful out there in Florida, because y'all governor is crazy. I mean, the dude is out of his mind. All right. Y'all go in there and find that link to the Virtual Freedom Fund Symposium. Those of you, well, you don't have to be in the 413. Good morning, London. I see London, England in here. You don't have to be in the 413 to attend the symposium because it's virtual. So you can go in and register no matter where you're from. It's this Thursday at 7 p.m. Dr. Jamal Bryant is my guest. Get in there and register for the Virtual Freedom Fund Symposium right now. Okay? It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be off the chisel. It's going to be epic. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. Award presentations that will be going on, all of that stuff. Okay? I'm going to have a busy few days preparing, getting ready for what's going to be popping with that. So y'all pray for brother. I don't know why my tea is spilling out of my little teacup here. Something funny going on here. But anyway, coming up at 10 o'clock on the after show, First Lady Swan will be here. So those in the streaming audience, stick and stay tight, stay with us. And we're going to be dealing with some things in that segment. So you don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to go nowhere. Last summer, there were a whole bunch of people who hit the streets. We were all kind of cooped up in the house, sheltering in place, trying to avoid this coronavirus pandemic. And, you know, they hadn't come out with the vaccine yet. People were being careful. And then all of a sudden, George Floyd gets murdered. And people hit the streets en masse. Of all walks of life. Black, white, brown, Asian, Native American, you name it. They're out there. And many, you know, consider themselves allies of the Black community. That they are part of our struggle for justice. And there are some well-intentioned folks. And there are some who it's convenient, it's something to do. There's some who want to be perceived as decent people, but don't really understand the Black struggle at all. And there's nothing worse to me when folks begin to try to white-splain to Black people about our struggle. You know, things that they have never had to live through. Racism that they have never had to experience. They want to tell you. They want to tell you what racism means and how everybody can be racist. Doesn't matter. Everybody is racist. All of that stuff, you know. And during the Trump time, we were so focused on the crazy conservatives that we let these racist liberals fly under the radar because they were pretending to be allies. And now that Trump is no longer in office and their party of liberals, progressives, of whoever on the Democrat side are in charge, you find out quickly what kind of allies they really are, because they are far less likely to call out bigotry and racism when they're in charge. They want to pretend all of a sudden it shifted, it changed simply by their party being in charge of government. And of course, Black folks, we know better. We understand full well that racism does not have a political party. You know, conservatives are fond of saying, well, you know, the Democrats started the KKK. The Democrats are the ones who had slaves. No, white people had slaves. White people started the KKK. White people lynched us. White people raped us. White people enslaved us. White people murdered us. White people mass incarcerated us. That's the common denominator for us. We don't give a hamburger whether you were a Democrat, a Republican, a Republicrat, a Demoblican, a Libertarian, a Green Party. We don't care about that. That doesn't matter to us. Do you think, as black people were being strung up, they were concerned about whether this is a Democrat or a Republican white person that's hanging me on this tree? Do you think their loved ones cared? Oh, well, it was a Democrat white person, so, that makes the difference. No. No. It was white folks. And I know they don't like hearing me say this, but it's true. It is what it is. The common fascism and bigotry in these yet to be United States of America is a white face, not a political party. Let's just keep it a buck. It is what it is. And so in white ally culture, they make these sweeping declarations and rampant hashtagging, to declare their allyship. And it's been wildly ineffective at dismantling the structural and systemic racism that led to things like George Floyd's death, the death of Tamir Rice, the death of Eric Garner, and so many others, Ahmaud Arbery. It all has happened on the watch of all of these allies. And there's no other way to put this other than bluntly. Racism is a white person's problem to solve. I often get people on social media who ask me, well, then what do you propose to do about it? How do you propose to solve it? Don't just talk about the problem. Tell us how you're going to solve it. It ain't my problem to solve. See, that's the blame the victim mores that exist in American white culture, where white folks cause a problem for black people and other non-white people, and then look at them to solve the problem. How you gonna solve the problem of systemic racism that we exact on your community? Really, that's what they do. They want to challenge you to solve their bigotry. It's not black people's problem to solve. It's a white person's problem to solve. Yes, racism harms black people directly, but it's caused solely by white people's actions and cultural influence. I know that's messing up some folks. I know that's messing up any white folks who are listening to me, because they're fond of telling us that all races can be racist. No, let me say that one more again so you can understand. And so you know that I didn't make a mistake, that I said what I said. Racism affects black people directly. It affects other non-white folks directly. But it is caused solely by white people's actions and cultural influence. Racism manifests in various forms: anti-blackness, microaggressions, colorism, white privilege, white fragility, white supremacy, implicit bias,
And all of these routine abuses, which have been instituted and normalized by white people over hundreds of years, have produced all of the social ills that are fueled by racism that affect black folks. They produced slavery. They produced Jim Crow laws. They produced mass incarceration. They produced redlining. They produced voter suppression. They produced police brutality, gaps in education, the wealth gap, and numerous other human rights violations have been produced by the actions of white folks. Okay? White people unconsciously and subconsciously perpetuate racism to the point that the simple act of declaring something like Black Lives Matter is seen as a political stance rather than the statement of an really of an incontrovertible fact. Seen as political, seen as divisive. To say, how the hell is saying Black Lives Matter divisive? Just think about that for a moment, white folks who think that that's divisive. It's because your actions have produced this stain of bigotry and racism that exists in our nation and in the world. You know, quite frankly, in the world. And once again, they don't like hearing that. They don't want to hear that. But it is what it is. And you can't deny it. You cannot deny it. 413-337-1867. If you're in the Twitter space and you want to chime in on the discussion, you can request to speak. So welcome. I see all of you all here in the Twitter space. Let me check over here because I see listeners. Good morning to all of you who are on Facebook audio as well. Welcome. And of course, those of you who are listening to us on 90.7 FM and those who are streaming on our various social media platforms. I see y'all on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter. I see Orlando, Florida over here on Twitter. I'm jealous. And of course, Facebook, all up in the house. And so we witnessed a new social justice uprising that took off following the extrajudicial police killings of several black people. We saw this sudden resurgence of white allyship and a resurgence of white ally culture. And it really needs to be examined because, listen, I'll say it again. As a black person, I cannot opt out of the struggle for justice. I cannot opt out. And you can't be an ally when, you know, if it's inconvenient for you to be in the struggle, you know, for a few months, you can put it on hold and then come back when you feel like coming back. That's not how allyship is supposed to go, y'all. And that's why, you know, I titled this program, Black People Have No Allies. And I know that's a little provocative title because I know there's some of you who are out there who are really tight, you know, with that. You know, no, I'm an ally. It's, you know, and they get real sensitive when you tell them that they're not. But you don't declare yourself as an ally. We'll do the declarations. And this white ally culture needs, once again, to be examined. Countless advocacy groups try to advise white folks who all of a sudden became woke to racial injustice on how to be supportive of black people and helpful to the cause overall. It's amazing how many of them became woke in the wake of Trump. They became resistors and all of that, as if racism didn't exist until Trump got in office. Trump was a symptom of a greater American problem. It was around long before Trump. It was around even when your Democrat candidates were in office. It was around when the black president was in office. Remember, Black Lives Matter rose up under a black president. Yeah, Trayvon Martin was killed under a black president. Mike Brown under a black president. Tamir Rice under a black president. Sandra Bland under a black president. The whole Black Lives Matter movement rose to prominence during the reign of a black president. So don't act like, racism disappears when Democrats are in office and all of a sudden you had to become a resistor when Trump got there. And listen, I need y'all to do me a favor. I need y'all to ask all your resistor friends where they at now. Where they at? Trump's gone. Where's y'all resistance at? I mean, y'all had it all up in your bios on Twitter and Instagram. Resistance, resistor. But see, y'all were resisting Trump. You weren't resisting white supremacy. You weren't resisting racism and anti-black bigotry because you're comfortable with it as long as your guy is in the White House. It's okay. You can overlook it. You can ignore it. And then I'm consistent. And this is what's amazing to me. This is what I've watched happen over the last 9 months. For 4 years, liberal white folks loved me. They loved me. They adored me. I mean, they could have drank my bath water. They loved me because I was slamming the bigotry of Donald Trump and the Republicans that were in power. Oh, yes, Bishop. I just love you, Bishop. Oh, they were fawning all over the bishop when I was slamming the guy they didn't like. Now, when I challenge the Biden administration for its benign neglect and sometimes blatant neglect of black people, when I slam the Democrats for failing to meet the needs and the concerns of our community, I'm being consistent in challenging the system that oppresses black people. Because the system oppresses us regardless of what political party is in charge. I'm consistent. I'm not doing anything different. But the same liberal white folks that loved the bishop for 4 years, when I was slamming Trump, all of a sudden, why are you being so divisive? He's only been in office 9 months. You're no man of God. The same thing the conservatives were saying about me when Trump was in office, now the liberal progressive white folks are saying about me now that Biden's in office. I'm not doing anything different. I'm challenging an oppressive racist system. But because their guy is in charge of the system, because their people are in charge of the House and the Senate and the White House, they want me to shut up. Vote Democrat and shut up when we're in power. You can talk again when the Republicans get in power. This has been the liberal white take. That the same black folks that they claimed they were allies to for 4 years, they want those same black voices to shut up. now that their people are in power. That's absolutely amazing to me. We didn't change, y'all did. Your resistance dried up when you got the Republicans out of office. Now y'all ain't resisting no more. Now it's go along to get along and stop talking that black power stuff, because now you're just being downright divisive, Bishop. Stop being divisive. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Bishop Swan. Man, I just want to like tune in and let you know that I'm listening. I watch your show and it's on point, man.
I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you too, man. Oh man, something else.
Where you listening from?
I'm watching it from my TV and my cell phone and my big.
What part of the nation?
Maryland.
Okay.
Maryland.
All right. Maryland in the house. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too, man.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a blessed day.
You too. 413-337-1867. 413-337-1867. What changed? Why y'all ain't resisting no more? What happened to all your wokeness that you had for 4 years? Y'all was woke. Seemed like y'all went right back to sleep. What's up with that? Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Bishop. This is Sheldon calling from Carmel, Indiana.
All right, Indiana.
And, that's just how politics is. And in terms of our political power, I mean, I give you a lot of kudos for speaking up when it's the Democrats that are not delivering results. And I don't know if you noticed when, Hannity and the rest of the characters on Fox News, when they're not pleased with Trump, they speak up, right? If they feel like he's not doing what he needs to do for the wall or whatever, they speak up. And for Black people, when the party promises us things and they don't deliver, we're expected to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And then come election time, they come to our churches, they come to our restaurants, they pull the hot sauce out their bag, whatever they can do to signal to us that,
they're down.
That they're down with us. And, full disclosure, I'm Republican, but we've got to, hold both sides, accountable and, continue doing what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, if they don't respect our power, then they're going to continue rolling over us, and we'll be singing the same song 50 years from now. So continue doing what you're doing, sir.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you for your call. Yeah, they want our votes, but they don't want to hear our voice. They want our votes. After they get our votes, they want to silence our voices. It's kind of like when the conservatives told LeBron James just shut up and dribble. That's kind of how Democrats are treating those of us that are active in the social justice space. That now that our people are in power, just shut up. Once again, they were cool with everything I was saying, long as I was slamming the guy they didn't like. Now I'm the enemy. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I've been saying for a while that they're trying to replace Black votes with illegal immigrant votes. So that's why, they've been using Democrats been using the Black vote for years and years and years. But that's why all these migrants and illegal immigrants are coming, because they want them to be permanent Democratic voters. And these Afghanistans, by the way, permanent Democratic voters. And that's why I'm saying more Black people should vote Republican. Because
well, I think Black people ought to vote. They're conscious.
I agree.
But I'm surprised that you and I agree on something. I actually agree that all of the overtures that are being made to immigrant populations are to create another voting block for Democrats because they realize that there are a lot of black voters that are being disenfranchised from the party because of their neglect for our concerns. And they've got to figure out how to replace that block. And so this is the route that they're taking.
There's no question about that. The other point is Republicans need to court the black vote.
But they've got to,
doing that.
But see, here's the problem. I agree with that as well. But here's the problem. In order to court the black vote, then Republicans are going to have a platform and an agenda that caters to the concerns of black people. Here's where I see the Republican problem, that instead of promulgating a message and an agenda that addresses the issues and concerns of black people, they would rather suppress black votes than appeal to them. So since we're not going to appeal to you, we'll just figure out how to stop you from voting altogether. And I think that's messed up.
Now, you say, and I agree, all right, black concerns. Well, I mean, I would like to think a lot of black concerns are white concerns, Hispanic concerns. How do they get more money in their pocket? How do they take advantage of opportunities that are going to best support themselves and their families?
Well, there are overlapping concerns of every community. However, in a nation that has oppressed, suppressed, depressed a demographic for 400 years, there are concerns that black people have that are specific to black people, that are not, is one person said this, because they have a lot of rising tide lifts all boats approaches to things. Well, a rising tide can only lift a boat if there are no holes in the bottom of the boat. And there's been holes in the bottom of black folks' boat, and it's been sinking for a while. So the whole rising tide's going to lift everybody doesn't always work with our community. And so sometimes there are things that have to be done that specifically target our community and our people.
Yeah, exactly. So it needs to be specific about what exactly that is. And we got to figure that out, because I would love for Republicans to tap, to get black voters on there. And that way it becomes a more two-party system, because what can happen, and this is what I'm concerned about being a lifelong Republican, right? The more Democratic voters, let's be honest about it. Democrats want illegal aliens are going to vote for Democratic. They're going to need help. They're going to need more of the social safety nets. They're going to vote Democratic. It could get to the point where no matter what Republicans do, they're just not going to have the numbers to overcome all of these illegal aliens that come into the country. It's going to be a one-party system, and that's not going to help anybody.
Well, we'll see what happens. I guess it's good to speak to you and at least be on the same page, or at least be able to dialogue. Thanks for the call.
Good dialogue. Good dialogue today. Good night. Goodbye.
413-337-1867. 413-337-1867. If you're in the Twitter space, hit that request, and we'll get you in. We'll get you into to comment, and also those that are listening in the Facebook audio. We're also on Facebook audio as well. 413-337-1867. Who are our allies? Do we have any allies? What happened to all of those woke liberals who considered themselves allies? Where'd y'all go? Where did y'all go? There's this online industry. Really, it's an entire industry that has been built on the concept of turning white people into advocates for change against racism. But you can't manufacture allyship. How can someone be a savior for fixing a problem he or she has perpetuated? That's like when the conservatives tell me Republicans freed the slaves. Yeah, white folks enslaved us, and I don't care about who fought to get rid of slavery. It should have never been here in the first place. You don't get a cookie for undoing wrong that was perpetuated by your people. You don't get a cookie. And see, they get this white savior syndrome. Y'all cannot be saviors for fixing a problem that you have either perpetuated or sat idly by and benefited from and did nothing about. You don't get a cookie because you all of a sudden wake up in your 40s and decide, I want to be an ally, Black Lives Matter, when you spent 40 years benefiting from the oppressive system. You don't get a prize. You ain't special. You're not special. Why should there be a badge of honor? Why should there be a distinction of merit bestowed upon white folks who choose to address a human error within themselves that's been terrorizing other people? Come on, man. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Bishop Swan. You there?
I'm here.
It bothered my spirit when there was something about like I thought like we was getting dissed. We was talking about when they were talking about this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here, man. Hey, Pastor Swan, still there? My bad. Man, look, I want to congratulate you on Pittsburgh Steelers victory yesterday. I just want to get that out.
I come from behind victory against the Buffalo Bills. I hope Mother Valerie Fields, my supervisor, my women's department, is listening right now because she's from Buffalo.
I just want to give you a credit and get up out of here because I'm about to go in hiding.
All right, appreciate your call.
I appreciate you too.
Yeah, my Steelers came from behind and beat the Buffalo Bills yesterday. That's how we do it in Steelers Nation. But let me not get sidetracked on football right now. This serious question, though. What does it say to the humanity of Black people that white people still get to play both the hero and the villain in their own trauma? I mean, think about that for a moment. This is a trauma that was caused by white folks. And yet they want to play the hero and the villain at the same time. You can't cause trauma and terrorize Black people. And see, I know my family didn't own slaves. I'm not a racist. I'm not this. Listen, if you're either racist or anti-racist. If you're not anti-racist, you're racist. And that means even if you are not consciously engaging in oppressive actions, if you are just simply being white and benefiting from an oppressive system that privileges white folks, then you're racist. You're enjoying the privileges of racism. Your silence is consent to the terrorizing, denigration, and dehumanization of other people. When you sit idly by and do nothing. So when all of a sudden you wake up and decide you want to fight a system that is wrong, you don't get a badge. You don't get a prize. You don't get a cookie for basic human decency. That's the problem. Many of them think they deserve accolades, pats on the back for just being human. You don't get that. You don't get that. Sorry, no cookie, no prize. Let me bring Femi in. I thought I was going to bring Femi in the space, in the Twitter space. Got about 7 minutes before we have to jump off of TCC. And then we'll go into the after show. I got Aloof. Yeah, okay, Femi, you are in. Come on. Hold on. Let me see if I can get you. I think it's my fault, the volume. You there, Femi? Femi, I hear you. You're in the you're in the space. Good morning. Good morning. I hear you. Okay, I don't know if Femi is hearing me tell him I can hear him. So anyway, 413-337-1867. 413-337-1867 is the number if you want to chime in on the conversation. Be more than happy to take the phone calls until show close. Once again, for those that are in the that are listening over WTC, to register for the Greater Springfield NAACP Freedom Fund Symposium. It is virtual again this year. We could not have our normal banquet gala because of the pandemic. We don't want to put people at risk by having hundreds of people in a banquet hall. So we're doing a virtual symposium. We'll be giving out awards. Veteran of the Year, our highest honor is the James F. Hennessy Award, Youth Service Award, Community Service Award, a Leadership Award. We have the incomparable Vanessa Ford, who will be ministering in song to us. We have a presentation by Dr. Faina Stern, who will be dealing with both prostate cancer and COVID-19. In addition to that, we have the dynamic, the one and only Dr. Jamal Bryant, who will be our keynote speaker at our symposium. So you need to be present, but you have to register. So go to focusspringfield.com/NAACPGS. focusspringfield.com/NAACPGS. Go there right now before you get caught up in your day's event and you wind up forgetting. You need to go there right now and register. We're asking for a small donation that includes your annual NAACP membership. This is a membership drive. This is a fundraiser and membership drive. So it's a very small requested donation that includes your membership drive. If you've paid for a membership within the last 6 months, you don't need to pay the full price. That includes the membership. So there's a reduced price for those who already have a membership. So please go there and register right now. Right now. I need you to register. This is important. This is something that is a benefit to our community, to our branch, and to the work that we continue to do on behalf of our people, advocating for them for justice. So join us, okay? Definitely want to be there. Let me take this call and see what's going on here. Oh, okay, they keep hanging up. All right, hey, I can only get you in if you stay on the line. All right, so I'm going to transition from WTCC radio into the after show, which is with the First Lady, the Justice and Flow Hour. So those of you who are on social media, stay tuned for that. Those of you who are listening on WTCC, jump on social media. Get on your gram, get on Facebook, get on YouTube, get on Twitter, jump in the Twitter space, go to the Facebook audio, and join us in one of those platforms as we continue for the next hour up until 11 o'clock. I believe First Lady's got some guests that are going to be coming on. So you want to be a part of that. Those of you who are listening over 90.7, until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember that God loves you, and so do I. We'll be right back. The rest of y'all, don't go nowhere. Coming right back. All right. Back with you. Let me see what I got. Let me see if I see the real free up in here on my audio space. I'm trying to figure out how to invite folks in the Facebook audio. All right. I'll figure that out at some point in time, I'm sure. And I know, Femi, I'm going to try to get you back on because I tried to get you in before. There you are. There you go. Come on with it.
Hello, my dear brother Bishop. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Go right ahead.
Beautiful. Yes, I just wanted to comment about the discussion earlier of the silence. How to let a black person in the world of the planet? You live right there with your person. You're living under oppression, and black people still don't get it. I think it's high time black people woke up, and this is why I appreciate what you're doing. You're trying to wake our people up. Africa has to fit.
Yeah, I think the point is well taken, that in as much as white folks call themselves being woke, there's a lot of black folks that need to wake up as well. Thank you so much. I wanted to get you in, Femi, because I know we couldn't get you in earlier, and I wanted you to be able to say your piece. Let me go now to First Lady Swan, who's going to have some guests up in here. We don't have a theme music. Let me see. You got to play something at least. There we go. We'll do a little bit of that right there. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, babe. How you doing?
I'm good. I need some fish and grits. I need some fish and grits.
Good morning, Justice. Good morning, Justice. We're not here to talk about fish and grits right now.
I'm just saying, I need some fish and some grits.
Mm-hmm. I do too. You cooking?
No.
Okay.
When do I cook?
Maybe you need to start cooking.
Why would I need to do that?
Well, why not? You're always talking about food, so learn how to cook.
Well, it ain't that I need to learn how to cook. I just don't cook.
Good morning, Sister Kathy. Hey, Whitney. Hey, Angela. Hi, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Look, babe, we got a hot show today. I'm really excited about it.
How is the show hot?
Because we have been given special permission to make this special announcement, and I can barely sit on it. I think I want to wait towards the end of the show because we do have some guests coming on today that I'm really excited about interviewing as well. As you know, the last few weeks since the inception of the show, we've been talking to some of the candidates that are running for office on school committee and city council here in Springfield, and we're wrapping that up today with two more candidates running for city council. So I'm really excited about them coming. And I mean, it's just a hot show. We need to talk about the convocation that we're coming off of. We need to talk about the success of Hope Fest. We certainly are going into the NAACP Freedom Fund this week. We got a hot topic for next week. It's just a lot going on, and I'm really excited about what the show is becoming, what the after show is becoming.
All right. Out of all those things you just talked about, which one you want to deal with first?
Actually, what I want to deal with first before we bring our guests onto the show, and I didn't get to hear all of your show, so I don't know if you had a chance to do this yet. But today is a very, 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 very.
Of course I did that, but you better get up and listen to my show.
Okay. Well, I was listening, but I missed about 10 minutes. So I wasn't sure if you did this already or not.
Of course, I acknowledge T-Man's birthday.
Of course, but it's our Black boy Joyce, our number one son, our first son together, it's his birthday today. And we just wanted to shout him out. He's been a joy to raise. He continues to be a joy. We just love him so much. He really, raised the bar. As far as just seeing how Black boys and Black males and certainly Black men, move in the world. I oftentimes say it like this, especially on Father's Day now. And babe, you know this, that I didn't have, my biological father was not in my life my grandfather, was the male role model for me, and he was my father figure. My grandfather was, well, actually both of them, but my paternal grandfather, his father, was the male that raised me. But just to sit back and now see our son be a father is like one of the greatest joys in our life. And I just tell you, we just wish him a happy birthday. But I also, thought about today, with his celebrating his 27th birthday. I also thought about I remember, how
He's
he was
27.
he's
That
20.
means you old.
Yeah, I'm getting up there. Thank God I'm still here. But anyway, how he was attacked in the womb, and you remember what happened, right? I didn't even hear it. You heard it. You heard it. I was trying to lay down and sleep, and I didn't even feel it. And you heard it in your spirit, and you turned over and you prayed for me after going to check. You jumped up out the bed. You went and checked it on the girls to make sure that the girls didn't fall out the bed or something, or whatever the case may be. You came back and you prayed for me. And when you moved your hand, I remember this day like it was yesterday. When you moved your hand, then I knew something was wrong. I went into full-fledged delivery. But anyway, so it was a emergency, and it was a horrible delivery, and he was in distress and he almost died. And so it's a celebration every time we get to say happy birthday to our son, because he wasn't supposed to make it and he wasn't supposed to survive, and the doctors was even amazed that he made it out and he made it through delivery like he did. So we just thank God for our son today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I remember that vividly.
Mhm.
I also remember that when he was delivered, he wasn't breathing.
He wasn't breathing.
And they were doing procedures on him and all of that. And I just stood in the room and prayed. And before you know it, those lungs opened up and he started screaming. And here we are 27 years later.
Yeah, I knew something was wrong. You wasn't telling me. And I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Because I didn't hear the baby for a long time. And you was trying to keep me calm while simultaneously praying for the baby because he wasn't breathing. And then I finally heard him cry, and I saw the relief on your face, and we just started praising God in the delivery room. So yeah. Yeah, and we've told T-Man, that story, and I think he didn't he write about it in one of his songs. I think he wrote about it, in one of his songs as well. But anyway, very spiritual birth. God told me that I was pregnant with him before it was verified through my doctor, and he's just been an amazing son. All of our children have been amazing, but he's been an amazing son. So we're saying happy birthday to you, son.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. So are our guests here?
There's folk backstage.
Okay, then they're here.
I see
Okay,
Leslie and Janae. Yeah.
All right. So everybody, we are going to be wrapping up our segment with some of the with some of the what I consider to be the best candidates running for office in this year, and that is Sister Janae McDonald. I'm always churchy, ain't I? But that's Janae McDonald from Ward 3. and Brother Leslie Campbell from right. There we go. So they're here. Good morning. Good morning to both of you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And there's nothing wrong with churching it up, ladies.
I
That's
know,
okay.
I'm always churchy, so thank you for giving me that, because I'm bound to call you brother, sister, and all of that good stuff, like we do in the church, in the faith community. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm so happy to have you two here. I'm just going to be transparent and I'm just going to be myself. You two are two of my favorite people running for office this year. Because I've witnessed your passion. I've witnessed also your experiences, your love for the community, your love for the neighborhoods that you're running for. And we're just glad that, we get to have a conversation, about that today. I don't even want to talk about, the other candidates. I don't even want to talk about the opponents. I really just want to focus in on you and what you're doing and why you're running and what you hope to achieve when you win, because I believe you're gonna win, right? When you win these seats on the city council. So we're just gonna go right into it. And of course, Bishop is the a co-host of the after show. And Bishop, you feel free to interrupt, anytime you please, to carry out this conversation. So we're gonna start with you, Janae, if that's okay, right?
Okay.
Ward 3, right?
4.
4. Okay, I get it mixed up with you and Leslie. They're right there together. Right. They're right there together, and you guys are supporting each other. You're supporting each other and you're believing in each other because of your campaign message, and you both have also witnessed each other's passion for the community and the neighborhood as well, right? So it's Ward 4. So I kind of know some of your platform, but before we even get into that, talk about Ward 4 to me. Tell me about Ward 4. What's going on in Ward 4? And tell me about why you're still there and what you want to see from Ward.
Absolutely. So in Springfield, Massachusetts, Ward 4 makes up the Mason Square, Bay Area, McKnight, Upper Hill, and Old Hill neighborhoods. On some of my literature, you will see 6 corners just because where some of the streets start and then where they end, they kind of end right at that 6 corner intersection. Mm-hmm. And so that's a part of that lovely border that Leslie and I shared between 3 and 4, along with some other areas in the city. Springfield Ward 4 has a very rich history in the city. My family has spent many years in Ward 4. I spent many years in Ward 4. We have 2 higher education institutions in the district. We have a host of early education programs. We have a brand new school that's getting ready to be built as we merge 2 of the older schools. And my grandfather was talking to me last night about his time at DeBerry way back when. And so what I'm looking to do is revamp and revise the district. My great aunts talk about back when it was before being Mason Square, when it was Winchester Square, and how it was such a booming business district and how many Black-owned businesses that we had in that district. And so what I want to see happen is I want to see Ward 4 restored back to the rich history that we know it has and that it once was. We have a lot of historic homes. We have a beautiful historic home district. We have a lot of historic buildings. One of them is getting ready to be redeveloped into some affordable housing. But there's other things beyond that we want to see. I want to see smart business development. We have empty storefronts that we can use to re-engage our young people, whether it's creating some sort of cyberspace for young people, make sure that we're better supporting our community centers that we have in the district. We have at least 3 community centers in the district that are working very hard to keep our young people engaged and safe. And we need to make sure that we're supporting that. One other thing that we need to make sure that we're doing, because Springfield is the city of homes, and a lot of people may not know this, but 51% of the homes in Springfield are not even owner occupied. And so that is an issue. Exactly. We need to be educating folks on the city resources that are available to purchase a home for the first time. We need to be upping the amount of resources that are available through the city to purchase a home. And that's one of the many ways that I would love to see that $127 million of the ARPA funds that are here at the city be used, so that we can help folks make that transition from affordable housing to owning their home, building equity, building wealth, leaving something for all the young people that live in our district. Another thing that people don't know about Ward 4 is that Ward 4 has the highest amount of young people throughout its neighborhoods than any other district in the city. We're talking over 20,000 young people. And so therefore, we need to make sure that we're making an investment in our young people. We need to have some of the best parks in the city. You look at our parks in comparison to the other parts of the city, they're not quite up to par. So we need to be improving that. We need to be fully supporting our youth centers. And then another thing I would like to see done, which has been done in Boston many years ago, is a linkage program. And so we have some very large nonprofit organizations that, because they are nonprofit, they do not have to pay taxes, rightfully so. But when you have a nonprofit, I'm not talking about churches, I'm not talking about community centers or small organizations, I'm talking about colleges. And so we have colleges that are able to buy up and are buying up a lot of the district. And, you know, they're doing a little community fair here or there. Thank you. But we need to see a bigger investment in the neighborhood that you're placed in the neighborhood that you're buying up property in the neighborhood that many folks aren't going to be able to afford to live in 10 years from now. And so I want to see a linkage program. Once I get elected, that's one of the things I would love to work with my colleagues on, and bring a linkage program so that any newly acquired property and development by those mega nonprofit institutions like a college, they would have to pay a linkage fee per square foot to the city, and that money has to be used for workforce development, tackling homelessness and other issues in the city. So I'm going to stop there. I don't know if you have any more questions, or because I can talk. So
listen, and that's why you're one of my favorites, because you have all of this information. And just in that, you know, those few minutes, you know, we can see the passion, but also understand that you're always out there trying to, you know, do the research and trying to find out more and more and more and more about the ward, you know, the neighborhood that you're running for city council in. So that's why you're amazing. So thank you. A lot of questions came up from that. I don't know where we're going to go, you know, but nevertheless, thank you for sharing that. We're going to move on to Leslie, and I'm just going to ask you the same question. Like, what is it about Ward 3, you know, and why? And come on, tell us about Ward 3.
Yeah, so good morning. Thank you for having me. So Ward 3 consists of the South End, a little bit of Forest Park, and Maple High Six Corners area of Springfield. Okay. Right. And so why Ward 3? You know, when I thought about running, actually somebody told me, like, oh, why don't you just run at large? Like, why do you care about like Ward 3? Nobody pays attention and nobody votes there. Like, this is a conversation that was said to me. And I'm like, that's the problem. I'm like, it needs somebody that actually cares about it and that actually wants to work, like to make things better. And it is a very unique area in the sense that, you know, the South End, part of the South End, so there's that rich, like Italian, like cultural history. Another part of the South End is now predominantly majority Latino. And then you move like up into Forest Park, and then you still have, part of historic Forest Park, or a little like neighbor, like part of that there. And then also another part of Forest Park that also has like a lot of gun violence and things like that. So there are different niches like in like Ward 3, and they all need their own special attention. And that's what they haven't been getting. And so for me, it's like I saw the opportunity for more neighborhood investment, right? And actually having businesses owned by the people who live there. Because right now what it is people who own businesses there, depending on where it is, like they don't live there anymore. The businesses are there, but they're not there. So having that, but also, and you know, when Janae like talked about like having the most amount of youth like in the city, in her area, you have to excuse me, my computer is going off over here. When she talked about that, you know, I wanted to share part of the reason why I decided to run. And I told I was in the classroom, I'm a teacher. It was because of my students and thinking about what are we going to be leaving behind for them? Like what type of city like am I building for them? And when I talk about that youth violence like piece, My kids are already like into stuff like in their middle school. So thinking about like knowing that, okay, like there's gun violence in South End, there's gun violence in Forest Park. What are we going to do to actually like invest in the neighborhoods to make sure that, and giving the people the resources so they're not going out and doing these other things. High Street and Temple Street are in my ward as well. And as a person put it, the block is hot, right? And I've already talked to one community organization over there about what to do, because like I don't pretend to say I have all the answers, but it's like, how are we going to work to get that done? So like my particular plan and thought is like bringing the resources to the people there. And so I'm going to stop there for a moment because I have to tend to something.
Okay, so it's a lot, right? So we know that this election is probably one of the most historical elections, ever in the city of Springfield. And what I mean by that is, I believe, if I'm right, and I wish Bishop was still on the line, I hope he's listening. I think ward representation was won years ago.
Ain't going nowhere.
No. Okay, so how old is ward representation?
The first election that ward rep took place was 2009.
Okay, so 2009.
We filed the first lawsuit in 96, and finally got it to get approved by the council and as a home rule petition and through the legislature in 2008, and the first official election that it took effect was 2009.
Okay, so we'll say 11, 12 years, right? And with that being said, ward representation or winning ward representation has got us 12 years later to the point to where I think, if I'm not mistaken, I did a little bit of research, but I can't say that I had access to the paperwork to find out if this is completely true. But I do believe that this is the largest amount of Black candidates in the history of Springfield, Black and brown candidates, to ever, run for elected office, or offices, I should say, here in the city of Springfield. So with that being said, we have, a large group of tremendous, excellent, Black people running for city council this year, and also running for school committee this year. And they are doing some phenomenal things, as you know. But, aside from that, this is a very important election, right? So not only do we have these, great people, running for office, but this is a very important election because we need to have the right people in these seats and in place, to kind of well, let's see, babe, you can probably say this better than me, but speak to the issues of Black people, because Black people tend to always be ignored. Now, we've had Black people in office, certainly before. So Janae, I just want to cut to it. When you win and and you're on the council, is this just gonna be more of the same, or tell us about what you're gonna do that would be different, and different, and and kind of what's the backdrop for you, like, when you take a look at what we've done, and what people have done, preceding you, or whatever the case may be, what's going to be different about you? What are you going to bring to the council that, somebody, didn't before?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So one of the biggest things is understanding that business cannot continue as it has been or as usual. And the days of city councilors simply showing up on a Monday night to cast their vote of yay or nay for a resolution or whatever may be before them and thinking that's it is over. It's really important to not just show up to community events when the cameras are rolling and the pictures are snapping, but it means speaking up and speaking out on the issues. One of the things that I notice while I'm knocking on the doors that people value the most is that you listen to them and that you hear what they have to say and that you understand what their concerns are. And within the bounds of what I've been able to do without being elected, I'm helping a lot of residents actually solve some of the issues that they have. And it could be something as simple as a street light is out, or the road needs to be, some potholes that need to be paved, or, there's a trash problem or something like that. But people want to know that they have a direct connection to their city government. And I think that's one of the things that's so special about municipal government and city council, and even more special about a ward seat. Because I'm not at large and I don't have to necessarily worry about entire city. Although when I do vote, my vote weighs the same as an at-large city councilor. I still care about the city at large, but I'm in a very beautiful and unique situation to build a rapport with my constituents, right? Will be able to safely and able to show up to all the neighborhood council meetings. I can, really keep that communication going because my district is not so huge. I'll be able to mail out a quarterly newsletter, which is something that I plan to do once I'm elected, to keep folks updated on exactly what's going on. And another thing that I can do, I can have the back of two of the at-large city councilors who are very well known for speaking out on the issues that matter to our community the most. City Councilor Justin Hurst and Tracy Whitfield, who oftentimes when I need to solve an issue, although I'm not elected yet, I look to, to help with that guidance. And so I always say I look at them as like two back-to-back Black ninjas, and I want to join that and turn it into like a triad. And then we get Leslie in there, and then we're like a square, and we all stand shoulder to shoulder, corner to corner, and we ward off all the evils of the city. So that's what you can expect from me, is that I'm not going to be your typical city councilor. You're going to be able to call me about whatever issue you have. I have someone who called because they're having an issue with administration at Homer Street School. And I said, okay, well, let's start with a parent-teacher conference, send an email. People are just looking they don't always want a handout. They just want a hand up. And there's nothing wrong with that. The Black community doesn't necessarily need to be saved. We need resources. And we need a leader who's going to act like a leader. And not just be a leader because we elected them to do so. And so that's what I'm here to do. Be a bullhorn for the community, be an advocate, and stand up for those who may not know how to stand up or are willing to stand up but need an extra little bit of muscle behind them.
Oh, that's awesome. So I got so many different questions, that just popped up in my head. Listen, though, I want to ask you, we're going to kind of switch just a little bit, shift just a little bit. And I want to talk about the voters in Ward 4, right? So I don't know if Springfield realizes it, but, voter turnout in Springfield, and it's not just in the Black community, overall, right? Is not great. So white voters don't come out well either, However, it did increase by, what was it? 20% or so it was like a little over 20%, I believe, actually, because the election before that was literally like 5-6% citywide, right? It was like 5-6% citywide, which is ridiculous when we have over 100,000 registered voters here in the city of Springfield. So 5% was what? 5% was what? Like 5,000 people came out and voted citywide. Abysmal. Okay. And so, like I said, that's not just Black voters. People just want to put that on Black voters, but that's not just Black voters. That's voters overall, from just about every single group. What I am concerned about, though, are the Black voters, So, we have this so-called consciousness, people are ascribing to being woke right now, and we got this newfound, advocacy and activism, that's going on. So I want to know because I know that you're knocking on doors. I know that you're canvassing, and I know that you're talking to voters. I know that you're talking to individuals. I want to know what's happening as far as them being inspired and motivated to come out and vote. And are they understanding how important this election is locally as opposed to the national election on last year?
Right. And that's one of the things that I task myself with all the time, is making sure that, and that's why it's so important for candidates to get out and be knocking on doors and talking to residents, because you are literally helping to increase voter turnout. And it's really important that we not, like I said, go about business as usual. So some of the political strategy oftentimes is you only knock on super voters and you only talk to those who are guaranteed to come out every single time. And we have special people that run those numbers oftentimes, and they'll kind of tell us who the super voters are and this is who you should be targeting. And that's great. And I'm going to knock on their doors too, because that's important. But I've expanded my universe, what we call it. We call it a universe. So I expanded my universe this time because I want to make sure I'm pulling out those who maybe only vote on the presidential year like you spoke about. And that's why we see that turnout. And to really let them know, coming out of presidential year is great. But let me tell you what voting in your city election will do and how it will vastly improve your quality of life. And we need to make sure that residents are understanding how important that is. We need to make sure that residents understand that they need to do their research and don't just make your decision once you get to the ballot box and then you're saying, oh, well, I don't know, I'm just going to pick one and that's it. Because the communities, I've seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
I see it. Or, sometimes I get to the door and they say, oh, it's too early for me to decide. And I say, well, it may be too early for you to decide, but it's not too early for you to learn. And so that's why I'm here, for you to learn about who I am and what a city councilor is supposed to be, and what it is that I do. But I think that's really important to get folks to understand the quality of your school, the quality of your roads, your taxes, blighted property, all of that depends on your city government. And that's your chance to really have a voice, especially at the ballot box. A lot of people like to say, oh, my vote doesn't count because, we can talk about the whole electoral college and all that stuff when it comes to a presidential year. But a municipal, we don't have to worry about those technicalities.
That's right.
Every vote counts. And I always tell people my ancestors went through, way too much for me to have the ability to do what I do today and stand on the shoulders that I stand on to not vote. And so we need to also be making sure we're reaching back to our young people so they can vote. I would love to see the youth vote come back, where, young people can go to the ballot box and vote, and then we get to see who won, the actual vote and maybe who won the youth vote, because we need to start turning those wheels in our young people's heads. I would love to see civics started at an earlier age in our schools. These are the type of things that are really important to voter turnout, and encouraging people to run for office. Women, especially Black women, have to be asked over 7 times before they think that they can run for office. I didn't come from an affluent family. I didn't come from a political family. We were active. My family was very involved in the church. But outside of that, I didn't think that I could be a politician. And it was also because there's only been, outside of Tracy now, there was only one Black woman ever elected to the city council.
Yeah.
And so we still have a lot of work to do. There's a lot to celebrate, but I think we owe it to our ancestors and we owe it to our young people more to make sure that we're coming out. And we're the swing vote. The Black people, we're still the swing vote. Sorry, I had to say it.
No, that's okay.
And we don't want to lose that.
Right. You just open up a whole nother can of worms though, talking about, how we as Black women, like, we're the backbone of everything. We're certainly the influencers, and we're certainly the spiritual carriers. In other words, we're the conscience of government. We're the conscience of activism. We're the conscience of all of that, and oftentimes we're the ones that do all the work. Do all the dirty work. We're the ones. But you're right. We set it up, and we did this in the church as well, right? So we do all the work, but then we set it up for somebody else to lead or to take, the leadership responsibility, right? So we do all the work and then we'll put a man in charge, or we do all the work and then we'll say support, this white woman or this white man and this, that, and the other. Things are changing, so we're not only doing the work, we're not only being the conscience, we're not only being the backbone, and we're not only the ones that's, voting. We always vote together. And at a 90-some% rate, we vote together. Black women come together in unity and we vote the same, or whatever. And we're the only ones who do that at the rate that we do, or whatever. But now you're right. You're right. And so young women like yourself, daughters like you, my generation was still a little hesitant, or whatever. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that's like, okay, I got to do this, or whatever the case may be. But we're really, really, really pushing our daughters, we're really pushing our daughters like you, to get out there to do this, or whatever, take the reins so that we can get behind you and support you. Which also brings up another question for me. And I had it in my notes. So what do you need from the community? Because it's more than just, right? It's more than just inspiring the voters. It's more than just going to the polls and voting for you. I'm seeing now that there's a whole continual system that is necessary, right? That is necessary when it comes to voting and supporting a candidate. So what does that look like? What does supporting you look like? Other than just voting for you tonight, what does supporting you look like?
Absolutely. I need all the support that I can get. I have, a pretty, little nice, minute, mighty team, but we can always add to it. And so outside of going to the ballot box and outside of pulling your loved ones and your other household members to the ballot box, it's really important to talk to your family, your friends, your neighbors, your associates about, not just the importance of voting, but voting for me, right? And so if you talk about you want to support Janae McDonald, run your mouth about me in a good way. That goes very far. Volunteer your time if you have the ability on my campaign. If you don't want to be outside or you have concerns about interacting with folks, you can do phone banking from the comfort of your home. We're going to be scheduling standouts, and standouts are when you see people outside with the signs and waving and everybody going by. You can do that. We need help on election day. Folks standing at the polls, holding the signs, greeting people, reminding people who to vote for. That's really important as well. But I think
and working the polls as well. They can work the polls as well. Apply, the work the polls as well. We need Black folks working the polls as well. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. So keep going.
Y'all forgot one of the most important things, and I know you candidates are reluctant to bring this one up. You can write a check.
Oh yeah,
you're right about right. Thank you, Bishop. He popped in to drop that one in.
That's right. He had to drop that one. That's right. You don't even have to write a check. All you gotta do is use one of the methods of giving, right? You can just go to ActBlue. If you're already registered on ActBlue, you can go at any time. You don't have to be in an event. It don't have to be anything formal. You don't have to send in a check. You can go at ActBlue anytime and just choose Janae, choose Justin, choose Tracy, choose whoever you want to make a donation to. So
absolutely.
So, we have, certainly some new advanced ways of making those donations. Like I said, you can do it at your convenience. You can do it recurring, right?
Yes.
Because I do. So you can do it recurring, or you can go in there and, you can choose the candidate at your leisure that you want to make the donation to at any time. Okay. So, so that's a good one. That's probably one of the most important ones, especially when you're campaigning. But outside of, you won the election, what kind of support do you need after you won the election? Because see, oftentimes people will, they might come out and vote, right? And they think that their job is done. Talk to me about the support that's necessary after you win.
Oh, the work the work is never done. But after I win, the support's going to look a little bit different. Perhaps there's an issue that I'm speaking out on, a city issue that I'm speaking out on, or awareness that I'm trying to bring to one of the neighborhoods of my district. And I might need to now, because of COVID, we can't pack City Hall. But prior to COVID, and I'm an organizer by heart. So prior to that, sometimes we say, okay, pack City Hall. We need everybody to show up because I'm going to speak out about this. And we need to show them that this is an actual problem and people care. And so now we can do a rally. We can do a protest. I mean, it could be sending letters. It could be signing a petition. And so one of the things I want everyone to know is once I'm elected, I am an action-oriented woman, and I believe in showing the proof. And so when I speak out on something, I need y'all to have my back. That's what it's really about. So if I say I need 100 signatures, I need you, everybody who voted for me, I need that signature. If we're having a rally and you're able-bodied to come out to the rally. If I'm saying I need you guys to flood the mayor's office with phone calls, then that's what I need, everyone to do. It's just as simple as that.
Right. So that's amazing. I'm really enjoying this conversation with you. So one other question before we, get ready to kind of segue out. I think Leslie ran into some issues, but listen, I have an opportunity to bring y'all back, and hopefully we'll get to talk a little bit more with Leslie. Anyway, I want you to talk to us.
Before you go there, babe, he's still in the backstage, but his video's not on. I sent him something in the chat that when I see his video come on, we'll bring him back up.
Okay, thank you, Bishop. Or Justice. Anyway, so Janae, talk to us about the top 3 priorities for you. The top 3 priorities, because I know our issues are massive. And one day we're going to have the opportunity and the space to talk about those good things that we have. It seems like we're inundated, though, with our issues. So I know that we have a lot of issues that need to be addressed or that we're always faced with, in the Black community. And I made that distinction in the Black community. But so what are your top 3 priorities when it comes to your ward and certainly the city and the community overall? What are the top 3 priorities for you?
Public safety is very important to me. And so many things fold into public safety. There are 3 things that research shows that stop crime and violence, and that's people, police, and lights. One of the things or the issues that we have is something that's simple. People don't realize this. Our trees on many of the tree belts are overgrown and covering the light, which is making our neighborhood and our streets dark
and unsafe.
There's other areas that you can drive to in the city, though, and their streets are well lit. And I remember when I brought this up, I think back in 2017, and we don't own the lights. The electric company Eversource owns the lights. And I said, no, we don't own the lights, but the ones that do work are being covered up. And so we need that. The other thing is that it's no secret that we have a gun violence issue in this city. And a fair share of it has happened in Ward 4. Now, we need to stop, again, going about it as business as usual. We need to really come together. We need to bring some folks to the table that actually can speak the language of some of these people that have been involved in this activity, are involved in this activity, and are at risk for being involved in this activity. Recently, they announced the gun buyback program. Okay, that seems nice, but it's going to take more than a big wide gift card to stop gun violence. And so I say all that to say is that under-resourced communities do not have violence. What we are seeing is people attempting to survive. We are watching survivalists play out. And so we need to make sure that our communities are resourced. So I know I said public safety was one. Prioritizing youth engagement is another one. And addressing blighted property beautification. And I think the one way that we're going to make sure that the most immediate way, that we can make sure that happens is the overarching for the city is making sure that Ward 4 gets what is due to them of that $127 million ARPA funds.
Mhm.
We can reimagine some ways that we can address gun violence and some other ways we can incentivize people from participating in that violent behavior outside of a big Y gift card, right? We can do workforce development programs, get these young people a job so they can make sustainable income and they don't feel like they have to be nickel and diamond on the street to make money and risking their safety and their lives. So that's something that's, really, really, really important. Improving, the way our community looks. Our parks could be better. The way our the street sweeper can come by a lot more often in comparison to other places. So, those are my I really have 5, but I had to shrink it down on the spot because you said 3.
Yeah.
But those are really, big priority. We have to curb the violence. Public safety is really important. Preservation of life is very important. And preservation of our Black and brown children is extremely important.
Well, you know what? So let's expound just a little bit, because I know that I think you've created a universal child care program, or tell us about that. So
yes. So
yeah.
So by day, I work for a union. So I work on behalf of the rights of working class people every day. I cover the family child care department. So there are 2,400 daycare, in-home daycare providers throughout Massachusetts. And so I lead that bargaining department. I am on the steering committee and the Western Mass Regional Manager to a statewide coalition called the Common Start Coalition. And the Common Start Coalition is working to bring universal access to high quality and affordable childcare. A lot of people don't know Massachusetts has some of the highest costs of childcare in the nation.
I believe it.
It costs more, and it's no wonder. It's very ironic that we're also the most educated state, right? And so it costs more to send your child to childcare or to get early education, so you can either go to work or they can get in the classroom early, get those skills, than it does to send them to a state institution on an annual basis, a college, whether it's a UMass or Westfield State or whatever. It's very expensive. One of the other things that's the problem is that childcare workers are underpaid. Childcare workers, especially the ones that are servicing our low-income families. So childcare workers that are serving low-income families are receiving the same public benefits oftentimes of the families that they serve. And we're talking about a field that is over 90% of women, and more than half of them are women of color. Right. And a majority, of that are Black women. And so what we're talking about is women of color being underpaid. And like you talked about earlier on, Lady Swan, us being the first nurturers, the first educators, the foundation, to society, yet we're being undervalued and underpaid. And so with this bill, we're looking to bring universal child care so that families up to a certain income will get free child care, and then it will scale off, but it won't. You will not have to pay. I want to try to explain in the most simple ways possible. You won't have to pay more than 7% of your income towards child care.
Oh, okay.
Which right now families are paying 15, 20, sometimes 25%.
Of course. Literally, I'm much older. So, my children are grown now. But however, 25, 30 years ago, when we were faced with child care, my husband and I literally had to sit down and decide, would it benefit us to just kind of suffer through so I could stay home? Because it was like I was working to pay the child care bill. Literally, that's what it was. It was like I was working to pay the child care bill. And then things shifted a little bit because there was some programs, but I'm going to be honest about it. I'm not going to call the names of the programs, but there were some programs that were racially charged to the point to where, as a Black woman, it was harder for me to access the program, that, was supposed to be out there to, certainly help supplement, child care costs and stuff like that. And then, of course, I had got to the point to where me and my husband, we became ineligible because, we was making $5 too much, or, I'm exaggerating with $5 too much, but, we were always on that line to where oh well, no, you don't qualify. You don't qualify. You make too much money. Or whatever the case may be. But those were really some hard times. And if it wasn't for a support system, a natural support system, in other words, a surrogate grandmothers and mothers and people that was through the church, or out of the church, that was willing to help us. And a cousin who is now deceased, who did at-home daycare, I don't think we would have, survived or made it out like we did. So yeah, daycare is a huge issue here, especially for people of color. That's a huge issue here. That's a huge issue here. So thank you for that, and thank you for all of that work, and certainly thank you for your advocacy and informing us about what's being done, and and kind of the vision concerning that. So any parting words you want to give us before you leave today?
Well, of course, I want to thank you and Bishop Swan for having me, for sharing your platform, not just with me, but with all the candidates. I think this is just absolutely awesome and beautiful, and I really appreciate all of the work that you all do in the community. So it's really awesome. I really enjoyed Hope Fest this past Saturday. That was a well put together event. Leslie!
Leslie's back.
All right. Well, that's my parting words. And I just, I look forward to beating the pavement, talking to folks, continuing to speak out on the issues, and doing the work. Although I'm not elected yet, but I'm doing the work already. If there's any fabulous listeners that want to help out and volunteer their time, I really would appreciate that as well. But thank you for your time this morning.
Give your contact information real quick.
Okay, so my phone number which is also on all my literature, because I really believe in accessibility. This is my direct number, not a Google Voice or anything else. 413-331-9355. You can also get the links to volunteer, donate, etc. on my website, votejanae.com, VOTEJYNAI.com.
Thank you.
No
so
problem.
Leslie, you're back. Stay right there, because I want you all to hear this special announcement that I'm going to make at the end of the show. But Leslie, you're back. I don't know if you want me to schedule a time for you to come back, or if you wanted to give us some parting words, or just speak to the audience. I'm sorry about whatever came up in the technical issues that you experienced.
So I would definitely love to come back. As I mentioned before, I'm an educator. I was trying to do two things at once, and that didn't work out too well. Some children in need of support, put it that way. Okay. So I would love to come back, but my parting words are just this: local elections are very important, and our city council is extremely important. And over the years, we've seen the tides are changing on the council. We've seen that we do have the ability. The council has the ability to be a legislating body and actually create policies and do things for the betterment of the people, and not just rubber stamp stuff that the mayor wants to see. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to urge everyone to pay attention to their city council elections, and to go out and to use their voice at the ballot box, because that's like one of my biggest things with running, is engaging people that I feel like have been left behind. They truly do feel like Ward 3 has been left behind. And so that's why I'm making sure I'm working in a much larger universe than what I need to win, because it's important to know what the needs of the people are. Right? And I definitely would love to come back, and I'm sorry about today. And so same thing like Janae with me, I really believe in accessibility. And so my personal phone number is on my literature as well. It's 413-356-0340. And my website is Vote Leslie. That's VOTELEZLIE. VoteLeslie.com.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So I want you two to stay right there. We have been given permission to make this very special announcement that was given to our show. And so I'm really excited about it.
Well, I don't know about it.
Well, you do kind of, but I didn't tell you that they gave us permission to make the announcement because I wanted you to be surprised. I wanted you to be surprised. You gave me executive producer responsibility,
I
so
didn't really give
you know
you that. I think you just kind of took that. You know.
yes, you did. Don't take it back now. But anyway, Bishop, I'm really excited about this because this is the first time. This is the first time that a slate of Black candidates have ever been produced here in the city of Springfield. This is the first time I think we come on, Springfield. So I'm really excited to announce who those individuals are in Springfield. So these individuals have been vetted, and these individuals have been endorsed by the Divine Community, which is a group of Black people here in the city of Springfield. And these are the candidates that they are supporting and endorsing and getting behind this year in election 2021. Yay! So I wanted to call all of those names today, and I wanted Brother Leslie and I wanted Sister Janae to hear who those people are. So we're going to start with the city council, and the candidates consist of Justin Hurst at large. Yay! Justin Hurst. Tracy Whitfield at large. Yay! I'm so excited about this. Zeta Govan, Ward 8. Yay! Listen, y'all, this is exciting. This is the first time a Black slate has ever been produced. All right? And then we have you, Leslie Campbell. Yay! Ward 3. Ward 3. Yay, Leslie Campbell, Ward 3. And then we also have Sister Janae Campbell, Ward 4.
McDonald.
I'm sorry, McDonald. I said Campbell, didn't I? My bad. McDonald. I'm sorry, Janae McDonald, Ward 4. Thank you for correcting me, babe. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, so those are the 5 people that we are supporting. The Divine Community is supporting, endorsing, and getting behind for election 2021. But then we also have some individuals on the list for school committee. So we're going to start that off with Sister Denise Hurst at large. Yay! I'm so excited about this. This is so dope that we get the opportunity to make this announcement. And then we have Sister Latonia Monroe Naylor at large. Yeah. Right? And then we have one of those Black women that you was talking about, Janae, a little bit earlier in the show, that said, okay, it's time that I step up. You know, I need to step up. And so she's running against an incumbent, somebody that's been there for years. And they are supporting other candidates, you know, but not supporting, you know, the candidates that's on our list today, this morning. But Sister Ayana Crawford, District 4, Ward 2, and Ward 8. Yes! Yes. We're also supporting Sister Barbara Gresham, and you know she's running unopposed. We're also supporting her. But we thank God for this dream team. We are calling, or the Divine Community is calling this slate of Black candidates the Dream Team 2021. The Dream Team 2021. And we want to see every single last one of them get elected and get back onto the school committee or onto the school committee or back onto the city council or onto the city council. These are the candidates that the divine community feel are the best candidates to advocate for our needs so that we won't continue to be overlooked and disrespected, in the city of Springfield. So, yeah. Good work, Brother Leslie. Good work, Sister Janae. Keep it going. The divine community is behind you. The divine community is behind you. Bishop, anything you want to say?
Hey, listen, vote. Get your cousins in them. We had a little thing we did at the last election about collect your cousins. Yeah, so we
Oh,
need y'all
yeah.
to collect your cousins and all your relatives and everybody else, and get them out there to the polls and vote. We focus a lot about national politics, but all politics are local. And local politics controls those real quality of life issues. Biden has nothing to do with whether the potholes get fixed on your street or the tax rate that's set for your property or how much you pay in excise taxes and the curriculum that's in your children's school and where the CDBG money goes and all that kind of stuff. That's all local politics. So we need to spend probably more time on identifying those people who sit on our city council, our school committee, our governor's council, and the various other, local elected officials, our district attorney. We need to be focusing on those candidates. So get out and vote for the right candidates.
Thank you. Thank you. Remember, the election is coming up November 2nd. There will not be any mail-in ballots sent to your homes. If you need a absentee ballot, you need to either go down to City Hall and, ask for it, request it, and fill it out and leave it there. Or you need to call, and make special arrangements to have a ballot sent to your home. But if you're sitting around thinking that a ballot is gonna come to your home like it did last election, no, they did not accept that mode of operation this year. We could have, but the city elected not to do so. So we will not have. So don't think that you're gonna get a mail-in ballot like you did last year automatically because you're a registered voter. Only absentee ballots exist unless you call and make special arrangements. And if you do call and make special arrangements, you need to do that now. Because if you wait too late, you won't receive a ballot at all. If you need any assistance on the ballot, if you have those kinds of questions and concerns, just kind of wait. We will be trying to do something about voter education and information coming up, through the NAACP and through the women of the NAACP as well. All right. All right, everybody. So thank you for joining us. Again, thank you, Janae. Thank you for Leslie. Thank you, Leslie, for dropping by. Again, we're going to set up a couple of other things in the future so that we can continue to expose you to the community because know that you are the right people to be voting for and getting behind in this election 2021. God bless you all. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
All right, people, once again, register NAACP Freedom Fund on September 16th with Dr. Jamal Bryant. You see it up on the screen even now. The link is right there. Do that right now. It's happening in 3 days. All right, so get registered. Take care of what you need to take care of, and we'll see you on Thursday. It's been real. Until next week, next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, so do we. Deuces.